You're watching All 24 News World News Program. To the headlines. Trump says no to Iran's offer and ends the fight. Tehran says war could easily restart, and the Red Cross cautions of a regional disaster. Also on news tonight, Zionist occupation is hitting Lebanon hard, with heavy artillery and airstrikes leaving dozens of dead in the south. Coming up as well, Sahrawi activists threaten a hunger strike with no end date. Rights groups affirm that Morocco committed war crimes aided by Western powers, and the Sahrawi cause features in major worker marches in Spain and Brazil. And deadly attack by the Rapid Support Forces in Omdurman. Groups warn they are targeting civilians in West Kordofan. The government says Khartoum is fully secure and tells displaced people to come back. Welcome back. First off in our news, President Trump announced a halt in hostilities with Iran, but warned tensions could remain high over nuclear and missile threats. Meanwhile, Tehran signaled both openness to talks and the risk of renewed conflict as diplomacy stalls. Karim Mustafa has more in this report.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced a cessation of hostilities with Iran, marking a significant development in the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. However, he voiced dissatisfaction with Tehran's latest negotiation proposal.
I would say that I am not happy. Their leadership is very disjointed, very argumentative with each other. They come back, one says one thing, one says another. They're very confused. Obviously, their country has been, frankly, decimated.
President Trump has reaffirmed his strong opposition to Iran developing nuclear weapons. He also warned that Tehran's remaining missiles and drones still pose a serious threat, even after what he described as the neutralization of about 82% of Iran's ballistic missile capabilities.
I'm dealing with some quite brutal people right now in the lovely country of Iran. They are very brutal, and I will tell you, we're doing very well. You cannot give Iran a nuclear weapon. We've knocked about 82%, but that means they have missiles left. We knocked out most of their drone-making factories, but they have some drone capacity left.
On the Iranian side, a senior commander within Iran's armed forces indicated that the prospect of a new conflict with the United States remains possible. Meanwhile, Judiciary Chief Ghulam Hussein Mohseni Ikhay said Tehran remains open to dialogue but will not accept conditions imposed under pressure.
The Islamic Republic has never shied away from negotiations. It has never refused them. It is a rational approach, but it is clear that negotiations does not mean accepting their dictates, nor what they want to impose on us through threats. That is not negotiating. It is accepting an imposition.
For now, both sides are talking but also preparing. With deep divisions still unresolved over Iran's nuclear ambitions, the question remains, is this a real de-escalation or just a pause before the next confrontation?
The head of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Mariana Spoljaric, warned of major humanitarian consequences if the war with Iran resumed. After a visit to Iran, she said millions could face immediate danger as crises worsened in Lebanon and Gaza. She cautioned that strikes on civilian infrastructure could affect tens of thousands, even millions, and stressed any escalation would spread across the region.
Now, the humanitarian situation at the moment is under control in Iran, but the escalation will be of a scale that we as humanitarians will not be able to absorb. It is a very dangerous situation that risks going beyond the point of no return. We have to start de-escalating. We have to start putting humanity back at the center and stop talking about the Middle East in terms of statistics and military capability.
On Saturday, the Israeli occupation launched intensive airstrikes on southern Lebanon, forcing dozens to flee villages north of the Litani River. The Lebanese National News Agency reported strikes on Al-Mansouri near Tyre and Binjbil, destroying homes and infrastructure. 14 Lebanese were killed and others wounded in a continued violation of the ceasefire agreement. Additional strikes hit several towns across the south. The Ministry of Health said the death toll has risen to 2,659 since March 2nd, with 8,000 183 wounded as bombardments continue near the border. Hospitals in southern Lebanon are overwhelmed, caught between the war-injured and a flood of displaced people. Jebel Amal Hospital, one of the few still running in Tyre, alone handles more than 70% of patients from the city and surrounding towns. Yasin Akhtar reports this time.
Medical teams at Jebel Amal Hospital in the southern Lebanese city of Tyre are working under immense pressure as they struggle to care for a growing number of wounded and sick amid ongoing bombardment. One of the few facilities still functioning in the region, the hospital has become a critical lifeline. Staff quickly realized the scale of the crisis as casualties began arriving in large numbers, many suffering severe war injuries. Among them is Sana Khalil, who lost both legs in an airstrike.
In the morning, my husband, my daughter, my son-in-law and I went to work on a banana plantation. Around 10 a.m., a drone struck us. We were thrown to the ground and I lost consciousness.
أول أسبوع يمكن جزء كبير راح بس كمان جزء ما لقى مكان ورجع.
A large part of the population fled during the first week, though many have since returned. Unfortunately, the suffering is immense, and the strikes are extremely violent, more than during the 2024 war. The wounded have been arriving in devastating condition.
In an effort to maintain operations, hospital administrators have taken the unusual step of housing medical workers' families inside the facility, aiming to ensure both safety and continuity of care. Still, concerns are mounting.
في كمية كبيرة من النازحين مثل ما عرفت أنا من.
The number of displaced people is significant, at least 75,000 in the hospital wards. We are doing everything we can, including performing surgical procedures. We are treating 70% of the patients so that the region can cope.
المنطقة.
The surrounding region now hosts an estimated 75,000 displaced people, placing unprecedented strain on already limited resources. Since the resumption of airstrikes on March the 2nd, several healthcare facilities in southern Lebanon have been destroyed, leaving those still operational overwhelmed. Medical supplies are dwindling, echoing conditions seen in Gaza since October 2023, as healthcare workers warn of a deepening humanitarian emergency.
In a strip cut off from the world, some continue to smile and work daily to bring hope to others. In central Gaza, Shireen Al-Kurdi, a Palestinian teacher and mother of 5, makes wool dolls to bring smiles back to children after years of genocide. Sofian Kinter has the story.
Inside the tent in the Buraj camp, Shireen carefully crafts handmade dolls for Gaza's children. With little more than a yarn and crochet hook, she creates small moments of joy, a lifeline for a mother of 5 striving to support her family and bring comfort to young lives shaped by hardship.
The idea of creating and designing dolls came to me after 3 years of blockade and restrictions, when toys were no longer being imported. I decided to make dolls for my own children so that they could play and have fun. Later, these toys became very popular and highly sought after, so I chose to develop my activity and start selling them.
After nearly 3 years of war and a deepening humanitarian crisis, childhood in Gaza has been defined by fear, hunger, and loss. Through her creations, Shireen tries to restore a sense of innocence, offering children a rare escape from a harsh reality.
After 3 years of war, children no longer have toys. Many were buried under the rubble of their homes. After being displaced several times, most returned home, but their toys had disappeared beneath the ruins. These dolls have therefore become a lifeline for the children, helping bring back their smiles.
Despite repeated displacement and the loss of her tools, she has adapted, improvising with whatever materials she can find. Her craft has become both a source of income and a quiet act of resilience in the strip left devastated.
After being displaced and losing my home, all my tools and raw materials were buried under the rubble. When I decided to start again from scratch, raw materials were unavailable and very expensive, and my tools were gone, so I had to buy them at inflated prices.
In Gaza today, creating is no longer just art, it's survival. and testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit.
Sahrawi activist Nama Asfari, detained in Moroccan prisons as part of the Dimizi group, has threatened to launch an open-ended hunger strike on May the 10th. His family said the move protests ignored demands and continued silence over Sahrawi prisoners, despite a UN opinion declaring their detention illegal. They said the strike aims to alert international opinion and push for implementation of the recommendations. He had ended a 48-hour warning hunger strike on Saturday in Qanitra prison. Las Palmas witnessed strong participation from a Sahrawi delegation in Workers' Day March on Friday. The Sahrawi cause was prominently highlighted in the demonstration organized by Spanish unions in Gran Canaria, where participants raised flags and banners calling for workers' rights and Sahrawi rights to self-determination while stressing solidarity with the Sahrawi people. The issue also featured in speeches by Spanish officials and union representatives during the closing event, alongside renewed support from Canary Islands activists for the Sahrawi cause. The Polisario Front representative in Brazil condemned the continued Moroccan occupation and blockade of Sahrawi territories, accusing it of maintaining a media blackout and hiding human rights violations. At a conference at the University of Brasilia, he presented an overview of the situation in the occupied territories, focusing on human rights and the Sahrawi right to self-determination under international law. The Sahrawi news agency said the meeting helped break the silence around the issue and renew solidarity with the Sahrawi cause for independence. President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, held a regular media meeting with representatives of the national press, broadcast on Saturday at 9 p.m. local time on national television and radio channels. President Tebboune said Pope Leo XIV put an end to what he called the former colonial myth about the absence of an Algerian nation before colonization, by affirming that Algeria's roots predate St. Augustine. He added that the Pope's visit to Algeria showed a full and accurate understanding of the country's situation.
ما بلغنيش رسائل خاصة لأنه على دراية تامة ودقيقة بما يجري في الجزائر، أنه وضع حد للخرافة تاع المستعمر السابق لأنه هو خلق الجزائر، والبابا قالها ما جحدهاش وقالها أمام الملأ أن الجزائر متجدرة في التاريخ إلى القديس أوغسطين وقبل القديس أوغسطين.
Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune said the UAE's withdrawal from OPEC is no big deal. He stressed that Saudi Arabia remains the cornerstone of Arab coordination and joint action within the organization.
لا حدث في الدول العربية الركيزة الأساسية في الأوباب سي المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، صار ركيزة، وما نزيدش نقول حاجة أخرى لأن انتهى الخطاب وطوي الكتاب معهم.
Poland's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski highlighted the deep historical ties between Poland and Algeria, noting that relations date back to the 19th century when the first Poles arrived following political upheavals in their country. During an interview with All24 News channel, Radoslaw expressed a clear ambition to further strengthen bilateral partnership. He drew parallels between the two nations' shared experiences of colonization, their struggles for independence, and the heavy sacrifices made to achieve it.
Well, as I mentioned already, we have compatible economies. So, Poland under communism was an unhappy country with shortages of food. Today, we're not just major food exporters. We have also completely transformed our agriculture and also our agriculture food processing industry. We have the engineers, we have the machinery, we also now have the capital to do it. And I hope that you see us as partners that don't bring any past of a colonial nature, don't bring in any political interests. We just want to do business that is mutually advantageous.
Minister Radoslav Sikorski said Poland is looking to strengthen its ties with Algeria, highlighting its major transformation in recent years, and that Warsaw is encouraging Algerian partners to explore new economic opportunities and deepen cooperation across key sectors.
But this is a relationship that goes back a long way into the past. The first Poles arrived in Algeria in the 19th century after one of our unfortunate uprisings. We were both colonized in the 19th century. We both struggled for freedom. We both gained independence in the 20th century. We both had an unhappy 1990s. And we need to rediscover each other because we are both aspirational nations and we have compatible economies.
The Arab League's top deputy, Hussam Zeki, praised Algeria's work on the Security Council. Speaking to Al24 News channel, he said Algeria fought for African and Arab issues and that Algerian diplomacy delivered a strong, honorable performance during its two-year term.
This is a fitting opportunity to commend Algeria's role during its two-year tenure on the Security Council, where it represented both the African Union and the Arab Group. It was an active and demanding term, marked by highly complex regional developments, particularly the war in Gaza and rising tensions across the region. Despite these challenges, Algeria and its diplomacy demonstrated a notable ability to navigate this period, rising to the occasion and delivering a strong performance that reflected an effective and influential presence within the Council.
To another news story now. Sudan's Emergency Lawyers Alliance says 5 civilians were killed in an RSF drone strike. The target was a vehicle south of Omdurman, the biggest city in the Khartoum metro area. In a statement Saturday, the human rights group reported a resurgence of drone attacks on the capital. An RSF drone hit a vehicle traveling from White Nile State on the Jumu'iyya Triangle Road in Omdurman. All 5 people inside died. The Emergency Operations Room in eastern Sudan warned of what it called acts of terrorism by the Rapid Support Forces in towns in West Kordofan State. In a statement on Saturday, it said the RSF had set up a presence in Awayl Bakhit market, with drone-launched platforms reportedly hidden among trees to the south. It added that the group stormed Badr with around 150 combat vehicles and deployed at Jabal al-Jaish. Sudanese Prime Minister Kamel Idris reiterated that Khartoum is safe and stable, calling on displaced people to return. In a speech at the Green Square in the heart of the capital, praised efforts to rehabilitate major public facilities that were deliberately vandalized by the Rapid Support Forces. He added that the capital is witnessing a growing return of displaced people as official institutions resume work and traffic activity increases across the city. Moving on to another topical news story. Ukrainian authorities said 2 people were killed and 7 others injured in a Russian drone strike on a minibus in the eastern city of Kherson. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attack, which he said targeted civilians, including women and children on a trip, and called on partners to increase supplies of interceptor missiles, adding that new sanctions help reduce Russian military spending. On the other side, Russian-installed authorities in Bryansk said 1 person was killed in a Ukrainian strike on a village, while the regional governor said a drone hit a house, killing 1 person and injuring another. In Kursk, authorities also reported 3 people injured after a Ukrainian drone struck a car. US President Donald Trump acknowledged on Saturday the difficulty of resolving the Ukrainian conflict, saying the task is not easy. Speaking at an event in Florida, he expressed hope that the United States would be able to achieve peace.
Cuba which we will be taking over almost immediately. Now, Cuba's got problems. We'll finish one first. I like to finish a job. On the way back from Iran, we'll have one of our big, maybe the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, the biggest in the world. We'll have that come in, stop about 100 yards offshore, and they'll say, "Thank you very much, we give up."
NATO spokesperson Alison Hart said the alliance is in contact with the United States to understand details of its decision to reduce troop presence in Germany. In a post on X platform on Saturday, she said Europe is confident in its ability to take responsibility for its shared security and invest in deterrence, saying this would make Europe a stronger force within the alliance.
We are working with the US to understand the details of their decision on force posture in Germany. This adjustment underscores the need for Europe to continue to invest more in defense and take on a greater share of the responsibility of our shared security, where we are already seeing progress, since allies agreed to invest 5% of GDP at the NATO summit in The Hague last year. We remain confident in our ability to provide for our deterrence and defense as this shift toward a stronger Europe in a stronger NATO continues.
Similarly, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius stressed the need to make NATO more European in order for it to remain transatlantic. In remarks to the German press agency in Berlin, he said Washington's announcement of plans to withdraw thousands of troops from Germany within a year was expected, and added that Europe must do more to strengthen its own security.
It was anticipated that the US might withdraw troops from Europe, including Germany. The presence of American soldiers in Europe, and especially in Germany, is in our interest and the interest of the US. If we are to remain transatlantic, we must strengthen the European pillar within NATO.
US President Donald Trump vowed to escalate pressure on Cuba, hinting at a possible US military presence off the island's coast. Speaking at an event in Florida, he suggested that after concluding operations in Iran, the United States could deploy a naval force, including a U.S. aircraft carrier, near Cuban waters as a show of pressure on the island.
War, you never know what happens. Look at Russia. It was supposed to be a one-day war, and it's 4 years, right? And you see that, and it's really a terrible war. And it's a lot of people died. Last month, they had 25,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers, killed. It's like a bloodbath over there, and I think we'll get that. We've settled 8 wars, and that should be the 9th. I think we're going to get it done, but it's a rough one. It's a rough one.
And that's all for tonight. To catch up on any part you missed or get the latest updates, you can always visit our social media platforms as well as our website. On behalf of all 24 News team, I'm Islam Sid signing off. Thank you for watching. Do take care.